Very, very good. Very excited to speak with you guys about this movie. Both of you add such flair to this. Oh my goodness. Rye, I have to ask, what was it like bringing this character to life? This was, we've seen Gunnar Hansen with Leatherface, we've seen Nick Castle, with Michael Myers, but you get to bring Johnny to life in such a fun way. Can you speak about, what inspired and what it was like bringing him to life?
Um, yeah, I mean, like those guys you mentioned there. I'm such a fan of horror films and slashers, and I mean, I'm just a movie geek in general. So like getting to go back and really study what works with those specific characters, and Kane Hodder is another a big one in there too, and just yeah, just studying what works with them, and then talking a lot with Chris about what exactly he wanted Johnny to be, and to not do too much, not to copy anything, but to give nods in homage and sort of amalgamate different elements to create something unique and singular with Johnny. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun and a lot of like me just shaking my head, being like, "This is so cool to be able to do this."
Well, and I love Johnny. Johnny figures into my precious angel babies of killers. He's Leatherface, Jason, where I'm like, oh, I like him. Leave the poor baby alone. I love him so much. Now, Andrea, I loved seeing your work here. You're getting to play a final girl in such a different way. Can you speak to how the filmmaking of this, that POV, that very outsider view, influenced your work as the final girl?
Absolutely. I found it actually helped create the world that we were living in, to not have the camera being such a close presence beside me, but rather this faraway entity just like Johnny is. It was like the same relationship that Chris has with Johnny throughout the film. And it just I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but it helped me so much as an actor.
No, it seems like it's such an experimental film. It's hard to nail down what it's going to be until you do it. And I think you both brought your characters to life in such interesting ways. Now, Rye, horror films are such a impressive thing in our genre. We all love them, but it seems like other inspirations were involved in this. There's some Gus Van Sant, some other stuff. What did you pull from as a actor for Johnny and just in general from this?
Yeah, like outside of of horror inspirations, I watch a lot of animal attack videos, specifically bears, wolves, and kind of bigger animals, just to kind of try to understand how they move in such a smooth and natural and fluid way, and then they switch over. If you've seen any kind of animal attack, they just become vicious, and it's just this chaotic, focused destruction, I guess. And so yeah, trying to translate that into how Johnny switches over in those moments was a big part of it for me.
Now, Andrea, I loved what Rye was saying about bringing that to life the animalistic ways. Where did you pull from Final Girls? Was there iconic Final Girls, or were you like, let me look at the nature videos in the opposite way? I'm now the little lamb.
Yeah, let me look at the deer videos. No, I didn't because I didn't want to be I wanted to make it something new and fresh, which is what Chris Nash and I talked about, our director, about just bringing so much of ourselves to these characters just because we don't really get to be super intimate with them for so much of the film. Like how do we bring as much of our own lives and personalities to them as we can? But I do have to say I'm obsessed with Jamie Lee Curtis. I just think she is a queen. So
I completely understand, though. It makes sense. She's perfect for it. And you guys both brought this new slasher to a new way. I called it an ASMR slasher, very vibes, very moody, and I love it so much. So thank you guys for speaking with me today about the film. Chris, I'm so excited to speak with you. You are, I mean, what a congratulations you deserve for this run from Sundance to now. Tell me how it feels heading into In a Violent Nature, coming out, this big release of this film.
It's really, really, really bizarre. We didn't expect anything like this to happen. Um, we felt like we were making it for like a handful of people that were actually that like might like it and might understand what we were doing. So from that to premiering at Sundance to getting this kind of release, uh, it's completely unexpected. The hype is terrifying. because I know what kind of movie it is. So yeah, I'm just trying to enjoy it however I can.
Well, I think you deserve this victory lap. It's an experience. It's truly it's the talk of the horror town right now. But I can talk to you about so many things. The design, the kills, the kills. We could talk, but I want to talk about your early horror history. What kind of led you up to this point? What was some of your early loves in the genre? Are you even a genre fan? Did you just come and slap us in the face with a classic now?
I thought I was a genre fan. I feel like every day I feel like I'm gonna get exposed by like some really, really niche Friday the 13th question that I'm not gonna be able to answer, and I'm just gonna be like, oh. But no, I always liked it. Earliest experiences, in genre were when, I'm old enough that there was a point in time where like you had to rent VCRs,
Mhm.
and my parents renting a VCR, and then watching, like hearing them watching like a horror movie or something like that and trying to sneak down and catch a glimpse, or of like, I don't know why they would have done this, but like the earlier days when I just asked them. I don't. It's hard to know. I feel like I was in kindergarten, so I don't even know how I would have heard of it. But like asking my dad to rent Creepshow 2, and just being like, okay, and not knowing anything better. But yeah, stuff like that. So these were experiences that I had at a very young age of like exposing myself to like the Raft segment of Creepshow 2, which
Oh,
it has an indelible effect on me. I'm still terrified of water, but like in the most juvenile like way, infantile way. Yeah.
no, I never understood how kids find stuff like my stepson found salad fingers, that old internet meme.
Sure.
He's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
six, dude, he's 6.5 and came up to me and said,
Yeah.
I like rusty spoons. And I'm like,
Yeah.
kids are weird, dude. I love it so much. And I just love that
I
you brought that up. That's kind of funny that like that nostalgic of finding it.
yeah, like how did I even know who celebrities were at a certain age? But you're just like, I guess it's just this weird osmosis where you just get it into your bones. Of like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm 6 years old and I'm a David Firth fan, and, and watching Salad Fingers and listening to Aphex Twin and Boards of Canada. It's like, okay, sure.
you lived a very fun, specific life there. I love that.
Okay.
No, no, and I loved like I just love seeing what you've done in the horror genre. I mean, the kills in this movie. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to give anything away. But can you go into crafting kills? I've always wanted to ask filmmakers that, like from the pen to the live action, filming it. What was it like with some of these memorable kills? Was this something you had in your mind, and were they kind of lived out as you thought?
Yeah, for the vast majority, absolutely. I mean, there was never anything like so specific as like I'd always like to see this kind of a kill. Like I tried to make them all really live within the worlds. So for this one, it was just zeroing in on like him utilizing his tools to be very specific deaths that you could only achieve using these tools. Um, so there's a lot of that in like figuring that out, figuring like, okay, what can he do with a hook that he's not going to be able to do with a machete or an axe or anything like that. And then from there, it's like, okay, create a bad situation. And then how do I make that situation even worse? And then from that even worse situation, am I gonna like have any inkling that like maybe the character is gonna survive this, or do I just like
Ooh.
answer that question immediately
Well,
for the audience? Yeah.
if I can add to the hype train, the one kill, I mean, everyone is talking about. I truly, the uniqueness, the nerve you had. It's so great. It's so bold, and it's really fun to see. I just love your overall stylings of this film. What was it like for you crafting this? Was there ever a moment that this was a more traditional slasher film, or was this always this, as I described it in my feelings, an ASMR horror film, which I love, but yes.
Yeah, it was always we can say ASMR or we can say boring. It is always
Hey.
a boring horror film. No, that's why we thought it was we were really like surprised at the reaction to it, because it is a very we thought it was going to be for a very specific niche audience within a niche audience. So even just having that first level of niche audience really like it is more than we could ever expect. But it was always gonna operate on its own pace.
Yeah.
Is I guess the best way to say it.
Well, this goes into my next thing. I mean, I'm a big Lars von Trier fan. I mean, the Dogma 95, the Dogma 95 movement and all that. And this feels so inspired by that, the diegetic music and all that. What was the other filmmaking inspirations? It seems like horror movies aren't just your number one priority. It seemed like you had a lot of other inspirations making this. Can you speak to some of those?
Well, Gus Van Sant was a huge inspiration. His films in the early 2000s of Jerry and Elephant and Last Days, just his stylistic approach to that was what we were trying to rip off as much as we could with this film. So that was one of them for sure. Also, big inspirations were Gerald Cargill's Angst, which I think would probably be like the most appropriate companion piece to our film. Just follows a serial killer type character as through a day in his life as he gets released from a mental institution, and then just follows him breaking into a house and doing his thing. But the main difference between that one and this one is that one's entirely wall-to-wall narration of what the character's thinking, whereas ours is silent. And also Alan Clark's Elephant, which was from the late 80s, I believe. I don't know the exact date, but it's just a series of different vignettes following characters who we never learn any backstory of, just walking through the streets of the city, killing like other characters, and then leaving, and then it's just onto another tableau. And it's very startling. The objectivity of it is really startling, and that was a huge inspiration on this as well.
Dude, you gave me like the greatest lineup of a triple feature there. I'm gonna have to spend some time there putting those together. I mean,
Uh,
Angst, I was gonna ask you like a double feature. What would you kind of pair with this? Friday, obviously, the 13th seems like such a thing. I love Sleepaway Camp. I feel like I want to see you get a little dirtier with these two. But is that something, Angst is a good companion piece you feel that kind of pairs well with this?
yeah, for sure. I would say more angst you know um than a Friday or like a sleepaway camp or a burning or anything like that.
Oh, see, look at that burning. That was a good reference. See, you don't worry. No, no one's gonna.
I've got a little cred.
Yeah, no one's gonna flag you there, my friend. You're doing
Yeah,
great.
as soon as I can throw in a Neon Maniacs reference, then we're gonna be fine.
You're awesome. No, thank you so much for speaking with me about this. I absolutely adore this film. I actually watched it twice, like in a row. I'm sorry to get my press screener little things there, but I really, really thought you crafted something so unique here. So this is my little moment to praise you and give you a little clap because truly, man, I think you made such a fun, unique, more than just a horror movie. You made an experience.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it.